Please stand up out of respect for the honorable judge.
Please take your seats. Hello to the esteemed attendees, including the distinguished members of the jury, who are present here as representatives of the survivors of World War III/nuclear war, and also to the respected prosecutor. We are commencing the 100th session of the court, addressing war crimes and organizing and regulating the status of humanity after the war. I am Judge Kamal. I request the esteemed prosecutor to read their indictment.
Honorable members of the jury, Judge Kamal. The 5 individuals who are present as defendants in this court are, from left to right: representative of extremist Christianity, representative of extremist Judaism, representative of extremist Islam, representative of extremist Nazism, representative of extremist communism. I ask the first defendant, by what right did you start a war in the name of Christ, who was a messenger of peace and friendship? Do not forget the speech of Pope Urban II, which led to 200 years of the Crusades. Under the pretext of Christ's presence in Jerusalem, you caused hundreds of thousands of people to be killed. Even after World War II, amidst civilization, you continued the superstitions and did not forget Jerusalem. In the newly discovered Americas, you mutilated thousands and looted their wealth. In the name of freedom, you carried out these actions against Africans in South America and, for instance, during the Vietnam War in Asia as well. You built the first atomic bomb and turned millions into ashes alive. This war, which has left only 1/10 of humanity remaining, is the result of your power-hungry pursuits. Look closely at these scenes and see what you have done to the environment. You have caused the death of 90% of humanity and living beings. I ask for the severest punishment for you.
Well, you have heard the honorable prosecutor's indictment. I ask the first defendant to present their defense.
With a deep understanding of the suffering and pain of humanity, I would like to explain how conditions and history have brought us to this situation. The Crusades were a response to the religious and cultural threats of that time. Pope Urban II declared a jihad and called Christians to defend the Holy Land. At that time, we believed that these wars were for the benefit of humanity and the protection of Christianity. As ordinary individuals, we were caught in a religion that compelled us towards certain actions. Should we be punished for decisions made at that time, under cultural and religious pressure? World War II and its effects on humanity were catastrophic. However, we were also influenced by ideologies and state powers at that time. During these wars, we tried to defend our ideologies and beliefs while being unaware of the bitter and destructive realities we created. I seek empathy and cooperation among the survivors. We must strive to come together and allow our history to become a lesson. Isn't the future of human society dependent on our ability to learn from and rectify past mistakes? Therefore, our punishment is just a repetition of past actions. While I consider myself innocent, I urge the prosecutor to look back before this war and see how much we advanced the countries we fought against, such as Japan, Vietnam, and South Korea, in terms of knowledge, civilization, and prosperity. In conclusion, I consider myself completely innocent.
Very well. You have heard the defense of the extremist Christian representative. Prosecutor, please read your indictment regarding the representative of the extremist Jews.
Throughout history, you have always been ambitious and very wealthy. You considered yourselves the chosen and superior people of God, believing that the Messiah would come from among you to save all humanity. But I ask you to carefully see what you have done to the prophet of peace and justice. Yes, your priests, with the help of the Romans, crucified the Messiah. Your hidden hatred for Christianity and your overt hatred for Muslims reached a point where you wanted to annihilate the German people, which led to your genocide by the Nazis. With your arrogance and cruelty, you displaced and killed millions of Muslims on the pretext of the Promised Land, which included from the Nile in Egypt to the Euphrates in Iraq. You created this nuclear war and killed billions of people. You are a religious extremist, and I demand the harshest punishment for you.
You, Jewish accused, start your defense.
It is truly shameful for you to call us aggressors. We formed the smallest country in the world. From the Euphrates to the Nile, it was promised to us in the Torah. Christian priests essentially said, as Jews, you have no right to live among us. Secular rulers then declared, you have no right to live among us. The Nazi Germans ultimately ruled that, you have no right to live. Our people bought Jerusalem from the Muslims and paid the price for it. Well, they regretted it and constantly killed Israelis, demanding that we give it back. We built up Israel. The fact that we turned a small country into a civilized and powerful one is a sign of our superiority. I ask this Nazi man, when did we have a problem with you as the German race that you committed genocide against us? I accept the honorable court statement that we displaced millions and killed hundreds of thousands before this war. That's what war is. We did not start the war, we defended ourselves. The honorable court accuses us of greed and materialism. Well, maybe we were, but that accusation is not true. Everyone loves money, but because we are a superior and smarter race, we cared more about our economy than others. This economy was achieved through our efforts, not through usury. In the end, I consider myself innocent and do not accept these accusations in any way.
Well, this is the defense of the Jewish extremist accused that you have heard. Now, the honorable prosecutor can read the indictment against the radical Muslims.
An extremist Muslim. Nowhere in the Quran, which I have studied, does it say to fight other Muslims and kill them. Instead, the Quran calls you to unity, kindness, and love for God. It is true that Christians started the Crusades, and you had to constantly fight with them, but there were also years when you should have used golden opportunities for your benefit instead of indulging in pleasure. Recently, when God blessed you with the gift of oil, instead of investing in the advancement, welfare, and education of your people, you sold it and used the money to wage wars against one another. Instead of creativity and exploration, you only thought about war because you nurtured an idea in your mind that says, I fight, therefore I exist. While you were busy fighting one another, other countries like Japan, South Korea, the USA, Germany, and many industrialized nations were making progress and bringing pride to their people. At the height of civilization, right before the atomic war, when you invaded an area, you sold the women there in markets for sexual use and beheaded the men like savages. For you, only fighting was important. The complete destruction of the world did not matter to you because you only thought about power and war. Well, you saw the consequences of that in this global catastrophe. I demand the harshest punishment for you.
Very well. Now it's the turn of the extremist Muslim representative to defend himself.
I am sorry that such a perception exists. Let us remember that the Crusades were part of human history, initiated by the statements of Pope Urban II. Criticizing a group for historical lies is unfair and resulted in Islamophobia, especially when throughout history, we have witnessed many wars and violence from all civilized countries as well. Instead of using warmongering labels, let us focus more on history and judge it correctly. Throughout history, we have suffered a great deal of oppression and injustice, and defending ourselves against these injustices relates to our human spirit and dignity. It is natural for individuals or nations under pressure or oppression to seek to protect themselves and their rights. Self-defense cannot simply be labeled as warmongering. The intentions and circumstances matter significantly. Warmongering is more about seeking war and violence for dominance or power, but we were not seeking power, war, or violence. We were merely defending ourselves against the aggressions directed at us. This defense against injustices has become a part of our existence. I regret that you have labeled us as lustful and lazy. The reality is that our enemies have always tried to create obstacles to hinder our pursuit of excellence and scientific advancement. Furthermore, the opportunity that was mentioned, I wish it had never existed. Oil was not a blessing, to be more precise, it was a curse for us. This very oil prevented us from achieving excellence and development. Believe me, the countries you refer to as progressive would not have been able to advance if they had cheap oil and easy money. Surely, you have heard the famous saying, necessity is the mother of invention. Oil caused looters to liken us to a cash cow and continually sow discord among us, turning us against each other while plundering us through arms sales. Another reality that must be acknowledged is that in many cultures and societies, there are different views on captivity and slavery. In some areas, these concepts were accepted as part of the social and economic structure. Regarding the women we captured, our Sharia permitted this, and selling them as slaves was also considered permissible under religious law. In conclusion, I consider myself innocent.
You have heard the defense of the extremist Muslim representative. I ask the prosecutor to read the indictment of the Nazi representative.